So I'm renovating my house right now, and in the process I had to rip up all this old yellowish kind of hardwood from most of the floors of my house. One of them was my stairs going from my first to my second floor. Basically how the stairs looked was it's like a single large hardwood tread on top of each stair, and then the riser was just a thin piece of like 5mm plywood or something, and then painted white. So I was like, okay, well whatever, you just pry up the tread and it's good to go. The first tread didn't really pry to it super easy, but I wasn't worried because the second and the third ones pried up pretty easy. So it's okay, cool. So I started popping up any ones that I could, but quickly realized that the vast majority of the treads were not gonna come up. Like they weren't even nailed or screwed or anything. They were glued, but it was like basically cement, because I tried like using pry bars, getting lever, getting anything, using claw hammer to try to pull it up. I even ended up trying to use a car jack under the nose of the tread and pushing up. Anyways, long story short, that didn't really work. Just ended up with the nose of the tread breaking just because they're so stuck on there. So what I ended up with was really crappy looking, half done stair job. So I was like, oh, what do I do to fix it? And I decided that I was just gonna try to put back what treads I could put back and kind of patch up any holes or any missing pieces of tread that had broken off, and just lay the vinyl plank right on top. Which honestly, looking back, should have been my go-to anyways, because the vinyl plank isn't really structurally sturdy unless it's attached to something. And if I wanted to actually have the stairs big enough to function as code steps, they would have had to have a backing of beyond what the plywood rise and run would have offered. So I was like, okay, so I guess I better take the old tread and just put it back on and see what I can do. So that worked for the ones where I hadn't completely just torn up the tread, but for some of them the tread was basically unserviceable. So what I ended up having to do was buy other pieces of wood and screw them down onto the plywood of the stair and kind of create my own fronting for the step. So this is an example of one of the stairs where I had to replace the whole front, because this is the original hardwood tread, and this right here, you can see there's two pieces of wood right here, because Home Depot and Lowe's didn't actually seem to sell wood that was an inch tall, which was what the original tread was. So I had to buy 3/4 of an inch and 1 inch pieces and just kind of put them together and screw them down. So that was kind of annoying, and but made it work. And actually this wood is like some sort of kind of expensive maple or something, so this is actually like twice as much as the big piece. But this is what I ended up doing with treads that I needed to fill. You can see down here there's another one. I actually stuck the maple underneath. You can see that underneath instead of on top, just because it seemed to mesh better. But and actually this one right here, this piece had to be completely replaced with a whole new 3/4 inch. So I actually took the 1/4 inch pieces and I kind of laid them like slats down below here, because I didn't want to have to buy enough to fill the whole thing. So what I did is I just glued these 1/4 inch slats to the 3/4 inch base. I think 1, 2, 3 strips. And for the middle, actually I didn't have enough to do a whole middle across, so I think I did 2 small pieces of a 1/4 inch in the middle. And then once those were all glued them with wood glue and then clamped them until they're dry. And then once I had this piece as a whole, as a single unit, then I would just screw them down to the plywood under here. Then for the tread that I could salvage, this is the old hardwood tread, you can see the old glue marks. So this is one of them I could salvage. However, I wasn't able to buy laminate that could fit over the nose of a tread. So what I ended up having to do is take a circular saw and a sawzall or something like that, one of those, and I just cut the nose off of all the ones that I could use. So basically, this used to have nose that came out here, but all I did was just cut it off and then it makes it a little shorter, but that's fine because the laminate that I'm using has a special nose piece where the nose is built into it. So that worked out for that, and I just, screwed this down a bunch of times so it's really secure instead of using glue. I think I actually might have also used glue underneath. But that's what I did to salvage the stairs from what was almost certain doom. Oh, last thing. So, you see this piece. So this is the original this is the original hardwood, and this is actually a piece of, I don't think it's maple or something. I can't remember what kind of wood this is, but it's basically a small strip of, this looks like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or something like that wood that I screwed to the end of the original hardwood piece because this wasn't actually as long as I wanted it to be. I think I must have cut it a little too short. Also, if you see, it's like I just really did a terrible job with a saw and just kind of made it all kinds of bumpy. It wasn't straight at all. So this piece actually evens out some of the imperfections from my cutting job. So that kind of helps. So then once I get this on the top, it'll be wide enough and it'll look fine. So you can see this one that I only have it partially here. Honestly, probably not the greatest thing to do, but once I stick this on, it'll be fine. You won't be able to tell. So I ended up taking all the old risers that I had destroyed in the process of trying to take the treads off, and I bought new 5mm pieces of plywood, and I just spray painted them white and stuck them on. And actually, before putting on the old treads that I was going to use and doing any sort of patchwork with other pieces of wood, I first tightened all of the plywood areas of the stairs as much as I could. So even though I couldn't see all of the rises and runs of the stairs because I still had some of that hardwood on it that I couldn't take off, I was still able to tighten these stairs so to prevent a lot of squeaking. The problem with tightening the stairs, other than that there was hardwood on it, is that I don't have access to the bottom of the stairs where I can just see the open stringers, so I just kind of had to do it all from the top down. So made a video about that. The tag is here, links in the description.